Every morning for the past 3 months, my daughter brought me breakfast, oatmeal usually, sometimes eggs, always with that concerned smile that made my gut twist in ways I couldn't explain. I'm 42 years old. I own a custom motorcycle shop in a town where half the people still think Harleys are the only bikes worth riding. I'm not some fragile old man who needs his daughter hovering over him like I'm one fall away from a nursing home. But that's exactly how Rebecca treated me. "Morning, Dad." She set the bowl down in front of me, steam rising from the oatmeal. Brown sugar on top, just how I liked it. Made it fresh. I looked up at her. 19 years old, nursing student, engaged to a guy who looked like he spent more time flexing in mirrors than actually talking to people. She wore scrubs, even though her classes didn't start for another 2 hours. "You don't have to do this every day," I said. "I want to." That smile again. Wide, bright, completely fake. "You work so hard at the shop. Someone has to make sure you're eating right." My wife Linda sat across from me, coffee in hand, watching this whole performance with the same expression she got when she was trying to figure out why an engine was making a weird noise. Suspicious, calculating. "Rebecca, honey," Linda said, "your father's been feeding himself for 42 years. I think he'll manage." Rebecca's smile tightened. "I know, Mom. I just like taking care of him." She kissed the top of my head and left. The front door clicked shut a moment later. I stared down at my oatmeal. It looked normal, smelled normal. But something about the way Rebecca had watched me, waiting for me to take that first bite, made my skin crawl. "That girl is up to something," Linda said. "You think?" "I know." Linda leaned forward. "For 3 months, she's been acting like you're 80 instead of 42. She asks about your health, your memory, whether you're forgetting things. Last week she asked me if you'd been having trouble with simple tasks." I set my spoon down. Simple tasks. Her exact words. The oatmeal sat there, cooling. I'd been eating it every morning without question. Rebecca made it. I ate it. She smiled that weird smile, and everyone moved on with their day. Routine. Except routines are where people hide things. I pushed the bowl aside. "I'm not hungry." Linda raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. She knew me well enough to know when I was thinking, and right now, my brain was running through every interaction I'd had with Rebecca over the past 3 months. Every concerned question. Every time she'd brought up my age, my health, my supposed forgetfulness. I wasn't forgetting anything. My memory was sharp. I could still rebuild a motorcycle engine blindfolded. But Rebecca had been planting seeds, hadn't she? Little suggestions that maybe I was slipping. Maybe I needed help. Maybe I couldn't handle things on my own anymore. The question was why. I went to the shop that morning with my head full of questions and no good answers. The garage sat on the edge of town, a converted warehouse that still smelled like oil and metal no matter how many times we cleaned it. 3 bikes in various states of repair lined the main floor. My assistant, Tommy, was already there, bent over a Sportster with a stripped transmission. "Morning, boss," he said without looking up. "Morning." I went to my office, a cramped room with a desk buried under invoices and parts catalogs. Everything was exactly where I'd left it. Nothing missing, nothing moved. But I checked anyway, because that's what you do when you start suspecting the people closest to you. My files were fine. Bank statements, business records, all normal. The shop was doing well. Not great, but well enough. I wasn't rich, but I wasn't drowning either. So why did Rebecca care so much about my health all of a sudden? I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my bank app. My personal account. Nothing unusual. Bills, groceries, the occasional beer with Tommy. Then I checked the joint account I shared with Linda. There, a transfer. $500 moved to an account I didn't recognize. 3 weeks ago. Then another one. 2 weeks ago. Both times on days when Rebecca had been at the house. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen. $500 wasn't much. Not enough to panic about. but it was enough to notice. And the fact that Rebecca had access to that account, had used it without asking, made my chest tighten with something cold and ugly. I called Linda. "Hey," she answered. "What's up?" "Did you authorize any transfers from our joint account?" Pause. "No, why?" "Because there are two, both for 500, both within the last month." Another pause, longer this time. "Rebecca has access to that account." "I know. She wouldn't just take money without asking. Wouldn't she?" Linda didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was careful. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking our daughter is up to something, and I want to know what." I spent the rest of the morning digging, not because I wanted to, because I had to. Once you start seeing cracks, you can't unsee them. You pull at the threads, and either the whole thing holds together or it unravels in your hands. Rebecca's social media was locked down tight, but her husband-to-be wasn't as careful. His name was Brett. 21 years old, personal trainer, the kind of guy who posted gym selfies with captions like "Grind never stops" and "Built different." His profile was public, which meant I could see every vapid thought that crossed his mind. Most of it was harmless. Protein shakes, workout routines, motivational quotes stolen from people smarter than him. But then I found a post from 2 months ago. "Big moves coming soon. Time to level up and take control. Boss moves. Future secured." The comments were full of fire emojis and people asking what he meant. Brett didn't answer. He just liked the comments and moved on. 2 months ago. Right around the time Rebecca started bringing me breakfast every morning, I kept scrolling. Another post, this one from 3 weeks ago. Sometimes you gotta make hard choices for the people you love. Family, sacrifice, doing what matters. More emojis, more questions, no answers. I closed the app and stared at the wall. Rebecca wasn't acting alone. Brett was involved, and whatever they were planning, it involved me. I went home early that day. Linda was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for dinner. She looked up when I walked in, and I could see the worry in her eyes. "Did you find anything?" she asked. "Maybe." I set my phone on the counter. "Rebecca and Brett have been planning something. I don't know what yet, but it involves money and me." Linda set the knife down. "What do we do?" "We watch, we wait, and tomorrow morning when Rebecca brings me breakfast, I'm going to switch bowls." Linda frowned. "Switch bowls?" "If there's something in my food, I want to know." She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see the conflict in her face. She didn't want to believe our daughter was capable of something like this. Neither did I. But wanting something and knowing something are two different things. "Okay," Linda said finally. "We'll see what happens." The next morning, Rebecca showed up right on schedule. Same scrubs, same smile, same steaming bowl of oatmeal. "Morning, Dad." She set the bowl in front of me. I smiled back at her, doing my best to look grateful. "Thanks, sweetheart." She lingered, like always, watching, waiting. I picked up the spoon, dipped it into the oatmeal, brought it halfway to my mouth. Then I stopped. "You know what?" I said. "You've been doing this for me every morning. Let me make you breakfast for once." Rebecca blinked. "What?" "Sit down, I'll get you something." "Dad, I'm fine. I already ate." "Then have a little more, come on." I stood up, gesturing to my chair. Rebecca hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw it. A flash of panic. Just for a second, but it was there. "Really, Dad? I'm not hungry." "Sit," I said, my voice firmer now. She sat. I picked up my bowl and set it in front of her. Then I walked to the counter, grabbed her bowl, and brought it back to my seat. Rebecca stared at the oatmeal in front of her like it was a live grenade. "Go ahead," I said. "Eat." She looked up at me, and for the first time in 3 months, that fake smile was gone. In its place was something raw and desperate. "I'm really not hungry, Dad." "Eat it." "I can't." "Why not?" Her mouth opened, closed. She looked at Linda, who was watching from the doorway, arms crossed. "Because," Rebecca said finally, her voice barely above a whisper, "it's yours." "So?" "So it's made for you, not me." "What's the difference?" She didn't answer. She just sat there, staring at the bowl, her hands trembling. I leaned back in my chair and took a bite of her oatmeal. It tasted fine, normal, exactly like mine should have tasted. Rebecca stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "I have to go." "Rebecca!" She didn't look back. She grabbed her bag and bolted for the door, slamming it behind her. Linda walked over and sat down across from me. We stared at the abandoned bowl of oatmeal together. "What the hell was in there?" Linda asked. "I don't know," I said, "but I'm going to find out." While you're here, hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this? I took the bowl to a guy I knew from my army days. His name was Derek, and he ran a private lab out of his basement. Not exactly FDA approved, but Derek knew his chemistry, and more importantly, he knew how to keep his mouth shut. "What am I looking for?" he asked, pouring the oatmeal into a testing container. "Anything that shouldn't be there." Derek raised an eyebrow. "You think someone's trying to poison you?" "I think someone's trying to do something to me. I just don't know what yet." He nodded. "Give me 2 days." 2 days felt like 2 years. I went through the motions at the shop, rebuilding carburetors and adjusting suspensions, but my mind was somewhere else. Rebecca hadn't come back to the house. Linda tried calling her, but every call went straight to voicemail. Brett, on the other hand, showed up at the shop on day 2. He walked in like he owned the place, all swagger and cologne, his gym bag slung over one shoulder. Tommy looked up from the bike he was working on, saw Brett, and immediately found somewhere else to be. Smart kid. "Hey, Mitch," Brett said, flashing that white-toothed smile that probably worked on everyone except me. "Got a minute?" "I'm working." "Yeah, I can see that." He glanced around the shop like he was appraising it. "Nice setup you got here. Must be worth a decent amount." I set down the wrench I was holding and turned to face him. Brett was taller than me, broader in the shoulders, younger by 2 decades. He probably thought that mattered. "What do you want, Brett?" "Just checking in. Rebecca's been worried about you." "Is that right?" "Yeah, man. She says you've been acting weird lately. Paranoid. She's concerned." I wiped my hands on a rag, taking my time. "Funny. I was about to say the same thing about her." Brett's smile didn't waver, but something shifted in his eyes. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means my daughter's been acting like I'm 1 foot in the grave for the past 3 months, and I'm starting to wonder why." "She cares about you." "Does she?" "Of course she does. You're her dad." "Then why did she run out of the house yesterday like I'd caught her doing something she shouldn't?" Brett shrugged. "I wasn't there, man. Maybe she was just in a hurry." "Maybe." We stared at each other. The air in the shop felt heavy, charged with something neither of us was saying out loud. "Look," Brett said finally, "I know you're protective of Rebecca. I get it. But she's an adult now. She's going to be my wife. And sometimes, adults have to make decisions that are hard, but necessary." "What kind of decisions?" "The kind that help everyone in the long run." "Everyone," I repeated. "Or just you and Rebecca?" Brett's jaw tightened. "I'm trying to be respectful here, Mitch, but you're making this difficult." "Good." He took a step closer. Not aggressive, but close enough to remind me he was bigger, stronger, younger. "Rebecca loves you," he said quietly. "But she's worried about your health, your memory. She thinks maybe it's time to start thinking about the future, about what happens when you can't run this place anymore." There it was, the real reason he'd come. "I'm 42, I said. "Not 82. "I know, man, but things happen, people decline, and when they do, someone has to step up and take care of things. Someone like you. Brett smiled. Someone like us. Family. I wanted to hit him. Not a wild, angry swing, but something precise. Something that would put him on the floor and remind him that age and size don't mean as much as he thought. But I didn't. Because hitting him would be playing into whatever narrative he and Rebecca were building. Instead, I stepped past him, walking toward the office. Get out of my shop, Brett. Mitch. Out. He hesitated, and for a second, I thought he might push it. But then he shook his head, adjusted his gym bag, and walked toward the door. You're making a mistake, he said without turning around. Rebecca's just trying to help. Sure she is. The door closed behind him, and I stood there in the middle of my shop, hands shaking with an anger I hadn't felt in years. Derek called that afternoon. You were right, he said. There's something in here. What is it? Herbal supplement. High doses of valerian root, passion flower, some other stuff. On its own, it's harmless. Over-the-counter sleep aids, anxiety reducers. But if someone's been giving you this every day for months, what would it do? Make you foggy, slow your reaction time, mess with your memory a little. Nothing permanent, but enough to make you seem out of it. I closed my eyes. Enough to make me look incompetent. If that was the goal, yeah. Whoever made this knew what they were doing. It's not poison, it's not even illegal, but it's not something you'd want to take every day without knowing about it. I thanked Derek and hung up. Then I sat at my desk and let the full weight of it sink in. My daughter had been drugging me, just enough to make me slow, forgetful, vulnerable, enough to build a case that I couldn't handle my own life anymore. And Brett had been right there, coaching her through it. Probably his idea in the first place. The question was why. What did they stand to gain? I pulled up the deed to the shop on my computer. It was in my name, free and clear. I'd bought the property 10 years ago, back when this part of town was still cheap. Now, with all the development going up around it, the place was worth 3 times what I'd paid. If something happened to me, if I was declared incompetent, unable to manage my own affairs, someone would need to take over. And if that someone was family, I called Linda. They're trying to take the shop, I said when she answered. What? Rebecca and Brett. They've been drugging me to make me look incompetent so they can take control of the shop. Linda was quiet for a long moment. Are you sure? Derek tested the oatmeal. It's full of supplements that mess with memory and cognition. Nothing illegal, but enough to make me look like I'm losing it. Oh my God. Brett came by today. Started talking about how I need to think about the future, about what happens when I can't run things anymore. He's setting it up, Linda. Him and Rebecca. They're going to try to get me declared unfit. Can they do that? If they have enough evidence, yeah. Doctors' reports, testimonies from people who've seen me acting strange. Rebecca's in nursing school. She could spin this however she wants. Linda's voice was shaking now. What do we do? I don't know yet. But I'm not going down without a fight. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind running through every scenario, every move they might make, every counter I could throw back at them. Rebecca was my daughter. I'd raised her, taught her to ride a bike, helped her with homework, walked her to her first day of kindergarten. And now she was trying to drug me out of my own business. The betrayal was a physical thing, sitting in my chest like a stone. Linda turned over next to me. You okay? No. She put a hand on my arm. We'll figure this out. Will we? Because right now it feels like we're already behind. Then we catch up. I looked at her. In the darkness, I could barely make out her face, but I could hear the steel in her voice. Linda had always been tougher than me in the ways that mattered. When I wanted to burn bridges, she built new ones. When I wanted to fight, she found another way. But this time, fighting might be the only option. I need to know what they're planning, I said. Not just guess. I need proof. How? I follow them, watch them, See where this goes." Linda hesitated. "And if you don't like what you find? Then I make sure they regret it." The next morning, I didn't go to the shop. I called Tommy, told him to handle things for the day, and parked my truck across the street from Rebecca and Brett's apartment. They lived in a new complex on the north side of town, one of those places with a gym on the ground floor and a coffee shop in the lobby. The kind of place you moved into when you wanted people to think you'd made it, even if you hadn't. Rebecca left at 8:30 wearing her scrubs. She got into Brett's truck, a lifted Dodge Ram with mud tires that had never seen mud, and they drove off together. I followed. They went to the community college where Rebecca had classes, or was supposed to. But instead of going inside, they met someone in the parking lot. A man, mid-40s, wearing khakis and a polo shirt. He had a briefcase. I parked at the far end of the lot and watched through my rearview mirror. The man shook hands with Brett. They talked for a few minutes, and then the man opened his briefcase and pulled out a stack of papers. Brett looked them over, nodded, and handed them to Rebecca. She signed something. They talked for another minute, and then the man got back in his car and drove off. Brett and Rebecca stood there in the parking lot, and even from where I was sitting, I could see the smiles on their faces. I waited until they left, and then I pulled out my phone and called Derek. "I need another favor," I said. "What kind?" "The kind that involves following someone and finding out who they're meeting with." Derek laughed. "You're turning into a private investigator, Mitch." "I'm turning into someone who's tired of being lied to." "All right, send me what you've got." I took a photo of the man's license plate before he'd driven off and sent it to Derek. If anyone could figure out who this guy was, it was him. Then I drove home and tried not to think about what Rebecca had just signed. The bus depot had been abandoned for 15 years. It sat on the edge of town, a relic from when people still thought public transportation might save this place. Now it was just a shell-rusted gates, broken windows, graffiti-covered walls. The kind of place teenagers came to drink and cops didn't bother patrolling. Perfect. I got there at 7:30, an hour before Rebecca and Brett were supposed to arrive. The morning was cold, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and doesn't leave. Fog hung low over the empty parking lot. Derek was already there, leaning against his car. "You sure about this?" he asked when I got out of my truck. "No." "That's honest." "What's the setup?" Derek walked me through it. He'd brought 2 other guys' friends from his security contracting days, and they'd positioned themselves around the depot. Not to hurt anyone, just to make sure things didn't get out of hand, and to make sure Brett couldn't run. "You've got about 20 minutes, Derek said. "Make them count." I nodded and walked into the depot. The main waiting area was cavernous, empty, except for a few broken benches and old ticket booths. Light filtered through the broken skylights, casting strange shadows on the floor. The air smelled like rust and decay. I stood in the center of the room and waited. At 8 o'clock, I heard a car pull up outside. Doors opened and closed. Voices. Rebecca walked in first, Brett right behind her. She looked nervous. Brett looked smug. "Dad," Rebecca said, "you're really here." "I said I would be." Brett looked around the depot, his expression shifting from confident to wary. "Why here?" "Because I wanted privacy. This place is a dump." "It's perfect." Rebecca stepped forward. "You said you were going to sign over part of the business." "I did say that. So where are the papers?" I looked at her, really looked at her. My daughter, 19 years old, pregnant, trapped in a relationship with a man who was slowly destroying her. She looked so young, so lost. "There are no papers," I said. Rebecca's face fell. "What?" "I lied. I'm not giving you anything." Brett stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Then why the hell are we here?" "Because I wanted you to understand something. Both of you." "Understand what?" Rebecca's voice was shaking. "That this ends today. Everything you've been planning, everything you've been trying to do, it's over." Brett laughed. You can't stop us. I already have. Your petition was dismissed. You've got no legal standing, and even if you did, the business is in a trust. You're not getting it. Then we'll find another way. No, you won't, because I'm going to make sure you can't. Brett took another step forward, his hands clenched into fists. You threatening me? I'm promising you. You're done, Brett. Your job's gone. Your truck's gone. Your certification's under investigation. Everyone knows you're a fraud, and now everyone knows you're a cheater too. Rebecca's eyes went wide. What? Your dad's been spreading lies about me, Brett said quickly. Don't listen to him. They're not lies, I said. Ask Tasha, or ask the people at the gym who saw you two together. Rebecca turned to Brett. Is that true? It doesn't matter. Is it true? Brett's face twisted. It was just a few times. It didn't mean anything. Rebecca made a sound like she'd been punched. You told me you loved me. I do love you. You're using me. I'm trying to build a future for us. By cheating on me? By convincing me to drug my own father? I was trying to help you see that he's the problem. No, I said. You're the problem. Brett turned on me, his face red with rage. You don't get to talk. You ruined everything. You put the business in a trust. You spread rumors about me. You turned Rebecca against me. I didn't have to turn her against you. You did that yourself. Shut up. You're a con artist, Brett. A broke, desperate con artist who thought he could steal from me. And now you're going to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong person. Brett lunged at me. I was ready. I'd been ready for weeks. He came in fast, throwing a wild right hook that would have knocked me flat if it had connected. But I sidestepped, letting his momentum carry him past me. He stumbled, caught himself, and turned. You think you're tough? I think you're out of your league. He came at me again, and this time I didn't dodge. I stepped into him, grabbed his arm, and used his own weight to throw him off balance. He went down hard, hitting the concrete floor with a grunt. Rebecca screamed, "Stop it!" Brett got up, breathing hard. His eyes were wild now, all the pretense gone. No, you're not! He charged again, and this time I hit him. Not hard enough to do serious damage, but hard enough to make a point. My fist caught him in the jaw, snapping his head back. He staggered, and I hit him again. In the ribs, in the stomach. He went down again, gasping for air. Stay down, I said. Dad, stop! Rebecca was crying now. Please! I looked at her. You need to leave him, Rebecca. Right now. Get in your car and go home. I can't. You can. He's using you, he's hurting you, and he's never going to stop unless you walk away. Brett tried to get up, and I put my boot on his chest, pinning him to the ground. You're going to listen to me, I said. If you ever come near my daughter again, if you ever contact her, if you so much as look at her, I will end you. But I will make sure you never have a life worth living. Do you understand? Brett glared up at me, hate burning in his eyes. You can't do this. I just did. I stepped back, letting him up. He staggered to his feet, clutching his ribs. Get out, I said, and don't come back. Brett looked at Rebecca. Are you just going to stand there? Rebecca was staring at him like she was seeing him for the first time. You told me we were helping my dad. You told me we were doing the right thing. We were. You were lying. You've been lying this whole time. Rebecca, get out! Brett's face twisted. You're making a mistake. No. I made the mistake when I listened to you. For a moment I thought Brett was going to try something else. But then Derek stepped out of the shadows, along with his two friends. All three of them were big, and they looked like they knew how to handle themselves. Brett saw them and went pale. You're outnumbered, I said, and you're outmatched. So do yourself a favor and leave. Brett looked at Rebecca one more time. Then he turned and walked out. We listened as his truck started and drove off. The sound of the engine faded, and then there was just silence. Rebecca collapsed onto one of the broken benches, sobbing. I wanted to go to her, to comfort her, but I didn't know if she'd let me. After a moment, she looked up. What have I done? You made a mistake. I tried to destroy you. I know. And you stopped me. I had to. She wiped her eyes. I'm so sorry, Dad. For everything. I sat down next to her. I know. I don't know how to fix this. You start by coming home. You let your mom and me help you. And you raise that baby away from Brett. Rebecca nodded, fresh tears streaming down her face. Okay. We sat there for a while, not saying anything. Outside, the fog was starting to lift. The sun was breaking through the clouds. What now? Rebecca asked. Now we go home. The drive back to the house was quiet. Rebecca followed in her car, and I could see her in my rearview mirror, gripping the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping her together. She probably wasn't wrong. Linda was waiting when we pulled into the driveway. She must have been watching from the window because she came out before we'd even turned off the engines. Her face was tight with worry. Rebecca got out of her car slowly, like she wasn't sure she was really allowed to be there. Linda didn't hesitate. She walked straight to Rebecca and pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry, Rebecca said into Linda's shoulder. I'm so sorry. I know, baby, I know. They stood there for a long time and I gave them space. This wasn't about me. This was about a mother and daughter trying to find their way back to each other. Eventually they went inside. I stayed in the driveway, staring at nothing, trying to process everything that had just happened. Brett was gone. The petition was dismissed. Rebecca was home. I should have felt relieved, victorious even, but mostly I just felt exhausted. Derek called an hour later. You good? He asked. Define good. Brett's gone. He drove straight to the motel where Tasha works. Looks like he's crashing there for now. Good. Keep an eye on him. Make sure he doesn't try anything. You think he will? I don't know, but I'm not taking chances. Fair enough. What about Rebecca? She's home. Linda's with her now. That's something at least. Yeah. Derek was quiet for a moment. You did the right thing, Mitch. Did I? You protected your daughter. That's what fathers do. I also beat the hell out of her fiancé in an abandoned bus depot. Not exactly father of the year material. He had it coming. Doesn't make it right. Derek sighed. Look, man, you can second guess yourself all you want, but at the end of the day, you stopped a bad situation from getting worse. That counts for something. I guess. We hung up, and I went inside. Linda and Rebecca were in the kitchen. Rebecca was drinking tea, her hands wrapped around the mug like she was trying to absorb the warmth. She looked up when I walked in. Hey, I said. Hey. It was awkward. The kind of awkward that comes when you've burned down a relationship and you're standing in the ashes, trying to figure out if anything's salvageable. Your mom's making up the guest room for you, I said. Thank you. We'll figure out the rest as we go. Doctor's appointments, baby stuff, all of it. We'll help you. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears again. I don't deserve your help. Probably not. But you're getting it anyway. She nodded, not trusting herself to speak. Linda came back into the kitchen. The room's ready whenever you are. Thank you, Mom. Rebecca stood up, swaying slightly. She looked completely drained. Get some rest, Linda said. We can talk more tomorrow. Rebecca nodded and headed upstairs. We listened to her footsteps, heard the guest room door close. Linda turned to me. What happened at the depot? I told her. All of it. The confrontation, the fight, Brett leaving. When I finished, Linda was quiet for a long time. I know. But you didn't. No. Why not? Because that's not who I am, and because Rebecca's already lost enough. She didn't need to lose her father, too. Linda reached out and took my hand. I'm proud of you. Don't be. I'm not proud of myself. You stopped him, Mitch. You protected Rebecca. That's what matters. Is it? Because I feel like I just made everything worse. You didn't. You gave Rebecca a chance to start over. What she does with that chance is up to her. I squeezed Linda's hand. I hope you're right. The next few days were strange. Rebecca stayed in the guest room most of the time, only coming out for meals. She was quiet, withdrawn, like she was processing everything that had happened and didn't know how to talk about it. Linda was patient with her, more patient than I could have been. She sat with Rebecca, talked to her when she was ready, and gave her space when she wasn't. I went back to work. The shop was busy, which was good. It gave me something to focus on besides the wreckage of my family. Tommy asked about Rebecca once, but I shut him down. Family stuff. It's handled. He didn't push. A week after the depot, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mr. Holloway? A man's voice, official sounding. Yeah? This is Detective Carson with the county sheriff's office. I'm calling about an incident that was reported at the old bus depot last week. My stomach dropped. What incident? A physical altercation between you and a Brett Holloway. Mr. Holloway filed a report claiming you assaulted him. Of course he did. I was defending myself, I said. That's not how Mr. Holloway tells it. He says you lured him and your daughter to the depot under false pretenses and then attacked him. He's lying. Maybe, but I still need to ask you some questions. Can you come down to the station? Am I being charged? Not yet, but if you refuse to cooperate, that could change. I closed my eyes. Fine. When? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'll be there. I hung up and stared at the phone. Brett wasn't done. Even after everything, he was still trying to hurt me. I called Patricia Frost, the estate lawyer. Mitch, she said when she answered. What's going on? Brett filed a police report claiming I assaulted him. I need a lawyer. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Did you assault him? I defended myself. He came at me first. Do you have witnesses? A few. Friends who were there to make sure things didn't get out of hand. That's good, but you're going to need a criminal defense attorney, not an estate lawyer. I can refer you to someone. Do it. She gave me a name, Marcus Webb, but then I remembered to avoid that name. She gave me another, Daniel Cross. I called him immediately. Daniel was younger than I expected, mid-30s, but he sounded competent. I explained the situation, and he listened without interrupting. Here's the thing, he said when I finished. If Brett's the one who initiated the physical contact, you've got a self-defense claim. But you're going to need to prove it. Witnesses help, but the cops are going to want a clear picture of what happened. I've got witnesses, and I've got proof that Brett's been harassing me for weeks. Trespassing, vandalism, all of it. Good. Bring all of that with you tomorrow. I'll meet you at the station. The next morning, I showed up at the sheriff's office with Daniel by my side. Detective Carson was waiting in an interview room, middle-aged, tired-looking, the kind of cop who'd seen enough BS to know when someone was lying. Mr. Holloway, he said, gesturing to a chair. Have a seat. I sat. Daniel sat next to me. Tell me what happened at the bus depot, Carson said. I told him, start to finish. The plan to confront Brett, the fight, everything. When I finished, Carson leaned back in his chair. Mr. Brett Holloway claims you lured him there with the intent to assault him. He says you threatened him, struck him multiple times, and prevented him from leaving. That's not true. Which part? All of it. I asked him to meet me there to talk. He attacked me first. I defended myself, and I let him leave when it was over. Carson looked at Daniel. You got any evidence to back that up? Daniel pulled out a folder. Security footage from a nearby business shows Mr. Brett Holloway's vehicle leaving the depot voluntarily. We also have witness statements from 3 individuals who were present and saw Mr. Brett Holloway initiate the physical contact. Carson took the folder and flipped through it. After a moment, he looked up. This is good, he said. But I have to ask, why were those witnesses there in the first place? Because I knew Brett might get violent, I said. I wanted people there to make sure things didn't get out of hand. Carson studied me. You sound like someone who was planning to start a fight. I was planning to end one. That's a fine line, Mr. Holloway. I know. Carson closed the folder and handed it back to Daniel. I'll review this with the DA, but off the record, it looks like self-defense to me. Brett Holloway's got a history of complaints, domestic disturbances, aggressive behavior. This fits the pattern. Relief flooded through me. So I'm not being charged? Not yet. But stay away from Brett Holloway. If you two cross paths again, things could get messy. Trust me, I have no interest in seeing him again. Carson nodded. Good. You're free to go. I walked out of the station with Daniel, my legs shaky with adrenaline. That went well, Daniel said. For now. You worried Brett's going to try something else? Yeah. Then keep your head down. Don't engage with him. Let the law handle it. And if the law doesn't? Daniel looked at me. Then you call me. Don't take matters into your own hands again. I nodded, but I didn't make any promises. That night I told Linda about the police interview. She listened quietly, her expression unreadable. Do you think he's going to keep coming after you? She asked. I don't know. Maybe. What if he does? Then I deal with it. Mitch, I'm not letting him hurt this family again, Linda. Whatever it takes. She didn't argue. She just nodded, like she'd expected that answer. Rebecca came downstairs a little while later. She'd been eating better, sleeping more, starting to look like herself again. How are you feeling? Linda asked. Better. A little. Good. Rebecca looked at me. I heard about Brett filing the police report. You don't need to worry about that. I do, though. This is my fault. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I brought him into our lives. I believed him. I helped him. You were manipulated, Rebecca. That's not the same as being at fault. She shook her head. I should have seen it. Maybe, but you didn't, and now we move forward. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. Then she said, What if he comes back? He won't. How do you know? Because he knows what'll happen if he does. Rebecca didn't look convinced, and honestly, neither was I. But I wasn't going to let her see that. 3 weeks passed, quiet weeks, where nothing happened and I started to think maybe it was actually over. Rebecca was settling in, going to her prenatal appointments, talking about names for the baby. Linda was back to her old self, laughing again, making plans. I should have known better. It was a Tuesday night when I got the call. Unknown number again. I almost didn't answer, but Linda gave me a look that said I should. Hello? Mr. Holloway? A woman's voice, young, uncertain. Yeah? This is Tasha. We haven't met, but I know who you are. Right. I'm calling because I thought you should know. Brett's planning something. I sat up straighter. What kind of something? I don't know exactly, but he's been talking about how you ruined his life, how he's going to make you pay. He's been drinking a lot, and when he drinks, he gets mean. Why are you telling me this? Tasha was quiet for a moment. Because I'm scared. Not for me. For your daughter. Brett's been talking about her too, about the baby. He says it's his, and you can't keep him from it. My chest tightened. Did he threaten her? Not directly, but the way he talks, I don't think he's going to just let this go. Where is he now? I don't know. He left my place a few hours ago. He was drunk and angry. I tried to stop him, but what? But he said he was going to your house. I was on my feet before she finished the sentence. When? I don't know. Maybe an hour ago? I hung up and grabbed my keys. Linda was already standing, her face pale. What is it? Brett's on his way here. Oh, God. Call the cops. Tell them we have a potential domestic disturbance. I'm going to make sure Rebecca's safe. I ran upstairs to the guest room and knocked. Rebecca? No answer. I opened the door. The room was empty. Rebecca? Nothing. I ran back downstairs. She's not here! Linda had her phone in her hand. I'm calling her. She dialed, waited, then shook her head. It's going straight to voicemail. Where would she go? I don't know. Maybe. The sound of breaking glass cut her off. We both froze. It came from the back of the house, the kitchen. I grabbed the baseball bat from the closet and moved toward the sound. Linda followed, her phone clutched in her hand. The kitchen window was shattered. Glass covered the floor. And standing in the middle of it, bleeding from his hand, was Brett. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him. He looked like a man who'd lost everything and had nothing left to lose. Where is she? He said. Get out of my house. Where's Rebecca? I don't know, and even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. Brett stepped forward, crunching glass under his boots. She's carrying my baby. I have a right to see her. You gave up that right when you manipulated her, when you convinced her to drug me, when you put your hands on her. I never... Don't lie to me. I know what you did. Brett's face twisted. You think you're so much better than me. You think you're some kind of hero, but you're just an old man clinging to a life that's already over. Get out. Make me. I tightened my grip on the bat. I will if I have to. Brett laughed. It was a harsh, broken sound. You already did. You took everything from me. My job, my truck, my fiancé. You left me with nothing. You did that to yourself. No, you did it. And now I'm going to take something from you. He pulled a knife from his jacket. Not a big one, just a folding knife, the kind you'd use for camping. Linda gasped. Mitch, call the cops, now. Brett took another step forward. I'm not leaving without Rebecca. She's not here. Then I'll wait. No, you won't. I moved before he could react. Swung the bat hard, aiming for his hand. The impact jarred my arms, and the knife went flying, clattering across the floor. Brett screamed and stumbled back. You broke my hand. Good. He lunged at me, and I swung again, catching him in the ribs. He went down, gasping for air. Linda was on the phone, talking fast. Yes, someone broke into our house. He's armed, or he was. My husband disarmed him. Please hurry. This isn't over, he said. Yeah, it is. Detective Carson was there too. He looked at me, at the broken window, at Brett being led away in handcuffs. You have a real talent for attracting trouble, Mr. Holloway, he said. I don't want trouble. Trouble keeps finding me. Well, this should be the end of it. Brett's looking at serious charges. He won't be bothering you for a while. What about Rebecca? What about her? He was looking for her. He said he has a right to see her because of the baby. Carson shook his head. Not anymore. With these charges, plus the restraining order, he's not getting anywhere near her, or you. Relief washed over me. Good. After the cops left, Linda and I stood in the kitchen, staring at the broken window. I'll fix it tomorrow, I said. Mitch, we need to find Rebecca. I know. I tried calling her again. This time, she answered. Dad? Rebecca, where are you? I'm at a friend's house. Why? What's wrong? Brett broke into the house. He was looking for you. There was a long silence. Then, is he gone? Yeah, the cops took him. He's in custody. Oh, God. You're safe, Rebecca. He can't get to you anymore. She started crying. I should have stayed away from him. I should have listened to you. It's not your fault. It is. I brought him into our lives. I trusted him. And now it's over. Come home. We'll figure out the rest together. Rebecca came home an hour later. She looked shaken, but she was okay. Linda hugged her tightly, and Rebecca just stood there, letting herself be held. I'm sorry, Rebecca said. For everything. I know, Linda said. We all know. That night we sat together in the living room, the three of us. The broken window was covered with a tarp, the glass cleaned up. Everything was quiet. What happens now? Rebecca asked. Now you focus on getting ready for the baby, I said. You get your life back on track, and you let us help you. What about Brett? What about him? He's in jail. He's going to stay there for a while. And when he gets out, he'll have a record. He won't be able to get a decent job, won't be able to rent a nice place. His life is going to be hard. Good, Rebecca said quietly. Linda looked at me. Is it really over? I think so. You think? I don't know, Linda, but I hope so. We sat in silence for a while, each of us lost in our own thoughts. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the tarp over the window. I'm going to be a better person, Rebecca said suddenly. I'm going to be a good mother. I'm going to make this right. I know you will, Linda said. Rebecca looked at me. Do you believe that? I thought about it. Thought about everything that had happened, all the lies and betrayals and pain. Yeah, I said finally. I do. And I meant it.